up? What up? Welcome to the Super Brothers podcast.
Super Brothers. Wait, Super Brothers.
Super Brothers. Super Brothers. Brothers. Super Brothers. There we go.
Yeah.
I am one of your hosts, James McCrae.
And I'm the other host, Don Woods.
Yeah, and we are the Super Brothers. So,
Yeah.
man, if this is your first time listening, we are two brothers who come together to talk about stuff we like. That's kind of the gist of it. If whether it's movies, comic books, video games, mostly movies and comic books. Nope, mostly movies
TV.
and video games and TV. There we
Yep.
go. But yeah, we come together, we talk about it. So if you are a new person, make sure you are liking, subscribing, and rating, subscribe. I still ain't got this spiel down yet, but I'll get it.
Right. It's
I'll
all
get it.
good.
Yep, yep. So, yeah, today we are going to be talking about the new Fantastic Four trailer, and the MCU has dropped another television show. I think it's a
Indeed.
6 episode television show. We got the first 3 episodes, and we're going to start talking about those 3 episodes in this episode. Ooh,
Of
that's a lot of
Ironheart.
episodes. There we
Yeah.
go. Ironheart.
Yep.
So, you want to kick us off with the Fantastic Four trailer and your thoughts?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's
So
go.
the final,
Hmm.
final Fantastic Four trailer, first step, Fantastic Four First Steps trailer dropped earlier this week. And yeah, my thoughts. I am even more convinced now, especially since they're calling this the final trailer about a month away from the movie dropping, that Marvel is hiding shit. They are totally hiding something. Because this final trailer, for the most part, was just extending the scenes we already saw in the first trailer, with a couple of exceptions. But like, I feel like we didn't get much that was new in this final
No.
trailer. So I'm even more convinced, and we've talked about this before on this podcast, that Marvel is hiding something when it comes to this movie. There's going to be some big plot twists that's gonna take place.
Yeah,
But
I feel you. My
yeah,
prediction has not changed based on this trailer.
yeah, yeah. As for what we did see, so we saw we saw the thing and this running joke that everyone wants him to talk about how it's clobbering time, and he doesn't want to say it.
He don't want to say it. But didn't in the earlier trailer we hear him say it?
No, I don't think we did.
Oh, I thought we heard him say it in one of the earlier trailers.
I don't remember
Maybe he
hearing
was
it.
still saying he didn't, but I was like,
Yeah,
oh, they spoiled that. But maybe they didn't. Okay.
yeah.
Um, yeah, the
He
clobbering
has
time
a
joke.
yep. He has a beard in maybe in the later part of the movie,
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
latter part of the movie. Um, so yeah, there's that, which I didn't know this. I've heard that this is a comics accurate thing where he does carve a beard. Um, but yeah.
Sure. Sure. Why
Um,
not? That's the thing.
yeah. And we get a little bit more of Galactus. And
Yep.
outside of that, I think again, like it's just extending stuff that we already saw with
Yeah.
Silver Surfer showing up.
We see a little bit more Silver Surfer. We see that
Yep.
Johnny has the hots for the Silver Surfer. He keeps saying stuff like, don't mess with me while I'm trying to figure out how to get with this or how to take down this sexy silver lady.
I
Whatever he
missed that
said.
part of the trailer.
Oh, you ain't say that? He called her sexy a couple times.
Okay, I missed that part.
Yep. So there's that. She was saying that she is the herald of the coming, the herald of their end, the herald of
Hmm.
Galactus. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
um, I still have the prediction, like you said, Marvel's hiding something about the movie. I think
Yeah.
all of the footage that we have seen is the first act of the movie. I think that
Yeah, I think
something
so too.
drastic is going to be like they're going to let that planet die, is my prediction. And they move on
Yeah.
to a different planet and try to live life. So
Yeah. Which, I mean, if it goes down that way, that's going to be complicated, right? For these
that's
heroes,
very
right?
different from everything we've ever thought about the Fantastic Four, at least
Yeah.
in movie version, cartoon version. I mean, there's some dark things that might have happened in the comic books, but comic books span everything with every character over
Right.
time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would definitely be a darker route for this group.
Yep.
I'm curious to how Franklin Richards plays a part because I think
Hmm.
part of it might be that they're trying to hide Franklin is the baby, Reed
Hmm.
and Sue's baby. I'm curious to how like if they're truly trying to hide him from Galactus and maybe that's why they have to abandon the planet.
Hmm.
That might be a little bit of a saving grace for him or a little save some face for him, but I don't know. Still letting the whole planet die. And
Yeah.
I'm saying
Yeah.
this like it's written in stone. My predictions have been wrong so many times on this podcast already. So we shall see. We shall see.
Yeah. You want to hear a crazy, I wouldn't call this a prediction, but this is kind of a what if I've been thinking about
Hmm.
as I've been thinking about this movie and how they're not showing us much. Here's a crazy idea, a crazy
Uh-oh.
what if scenario.
I love it.
What if we get more than a tease of Robert Downey Jr.'s Victor Von Doom? Like, what if RDJ is actually in this movie, like in a real way? Now,
Like,
I think it's impossible in this day and age for them to pull off something like this, but it would be wild if like we get our first real view, maybe not even of Doctor Doom, but of Victor Von Doom in this movie, right? Because the theory, I mean, like he should be a part of this world, right? Like Victor and Reed were like buddies in college and all that,
hmm.
right?
Yeah,
So what if that's part of what they're hiding?
that could be. I feel like Marvel has not done a good job of hiding stuff like that, especially
Yeah,
when they're trying to
right.
get butts in the seats. And we still do have a month. They said the final trailer, but Marvel lies about a lot of stuff.
That's
Let's
true.
just be real. They
Yep.
uh they make fake trailer footage just to throw people off all the
Yeah.
time.
Yep. They have.
So I will I will trust that they are definitely hiding something or lying about something
Yeah. Yep.
for the art and the surprise of the movie.
Right. Yeah.
It is also
But
interesting that we just recently came off of the whole, and spoiler alert for Thunderbolts, but the
mhm.
marketing campaign I just did, quote unquote, finger quotes, of Thunderbolts being retitled The New Avengers, right?
Right.
And
Right.
all that hoopla. And I wonder if they're trying to do something not similar as in renaming the movie, but similar in that
Right.
like we have some big surprises coming.
Yep.
And my only guess is that this is because this is the last movie before for
Doomsday.
Avengers Doomsday, right? So
Yes.
there might be some post-credit scenes and things like that that are leading us
Hmm.
down that path. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wonder.
So this is part of my, again, I'm not calling this a theory or prediction. Like I think it's highly unlikely that this happens, but I think there's a non-zero chance of it happening. But yeah, I mean, so Avengers Doomsday is the next big Marvel movie, right? Um, Featuring Marvel's greatest villain, Doctor Doom, right?
Hmm.
So I feel I know we're at least going to get a tease of Doom at in Fantastic Four post credits or something like that.
Yep.
But I was sort of playing it out like, well, yeah, again, given that they've hidden so much about this movie, like, what if we actually do get to see Victor Von Doom, you know,
Hmm.
in a meaningful way, you know, like his relationship with Reed. Like, I feel like they need to set that up for Doomsday. And I would hope that they figure out a way to set that up for Doomsday. And I imagine to put it in Doomsday is going to be trying to accomplish a whole lot with that movie. So yeah, the way I was kind of thinking about it is like Victor Von Doom is in Fantastic Four, and then in Doomsday, and this isn't really a spoiler, but like if you don't want to hear theories on these movies, like maybe don't listen. But like let's say in Doomsday, we see multiple Dooms, right? Similar to the whole Council of Kangs thing that
Yep.
Marvel was trying to set up with Kang, back when he was going to be the big bad, right? So you see like the Council of Dooms. And then, in Secret Wars is when we get our actual Doom, right? Because I think you and I have talked about this before. I can't see Robert Downey Jr. being signed on to play Doom indefinitely, right?
No.
Um, and I would think that like Marvel Studios doesn't want that, and it probably costs a
Hmm.
lot of money. Um, and RDJ is getting up there in age and all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, this is kind of my thoughts. I won't call it a theory, I won't call it a prediction, but like what if we do get a lot more Doom and Fantastic Four so that when we get to Doomsday, we're in a much better place for that big event. I
I
don't know.
mean, again, it goes back to what we talked about a few episodes ago about how Thanos was built up over time.
Yes.
And we are jumping into Doomsday based on,
Yep.
at least based on what we know at this moment. We are jumping right in. The only thing we know is that RDJ is playing Doom. We don't know anything about the background. We don't know the motivations. We know that something is going to happen where Doom is the big bad of the new Avengers coming together. So
Yep.
if it's not the whole movie, it at least has to be a post-credit scene getting us ready for that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would say the whole magic sauce of Marvel, which was the forward thinking, the interconnectedness, and all that, is starting to
Yep.
go out the window for real if they're like, let's just bank on the movie to just put it out the way it is and
Yeah.
don't build up to it at all.
Yep.
So based on that, I think you are on to something. I
Hmm.
don't know if he's going to be like the main villain or anything like that,
And I'm not
but
saying that. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
just saying like we start to understand the relationship between Reed and Victor, maybe.
Yep. And I
Yeah.
feel I think back to even like Civil War, like Marvel couldn't even keep under wraps that Spider-Man was going to be in the movie,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm like, if they pull that off, I'd be
It'd be
impressed.
amazing. It'd be
I'd be
amazing. Yep.
impressed. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, I think there's not a lot of new footage, but a lot of new theories. Not
Right.
even new theories, expanding upon theories, because
Yeah.
yeah, I cannot see that being the full, because if what we've seen in the movie is actually the full span of the movie, they've pretty much spoiled the movie of
Yep.
how it's going to go. So
Yep.
that's why I think we're looking at like the first 25 minutes to half hour of the movie, and then it's
Yeah.
going to be something completely different after that. But
Yep.
who
two
knows?
thing two things that sort of support, well, one thing that supports this idea that Marvel's hiding something, and then something else that could support my thought, not theory, not prediction. First thing, we know that John Malkovich is in this movie. We have not
We
seen
don't
him at
know.
all, yep,
Yep,
in these trailers, right? So there's that. So they're
Johnny
hiding John Mal
Malkovich.
they're hiding him, right?
Hmm.
And then the second thing, I've seen a lot of uh, I guess articles or whatever about Pedro Pascal talking about how RDJ has been really supportive of him and helped him like make this transition into the Marvel universe and everything. What if he's not just talking about them being on the set for Doomsday, but he's
Hmm.
actually talking about them being on the set for First Steps?
Yeah.
I
Yep.
don't know. I don't
It could be. I mean,
know.
I like the theory. I I guess I don't trust Marvel to be able to keep a big secret like that.
That's the big thing.
But
Yeah, yeah. It
yeah.
would be super hard to pull that off. Yeah.
But again, with what they did with Thunderbolts, maybe they're waiting to after the first week and saying spoilers be damned, and then they're gonna say RDJ is in this movie. This is a
Yeah.
Doom movie, and they gonna, you know, First Steps Towards Doom is going to be the new title or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
We'll see.
no, it's going to be something big though.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Um,
right.
all right.
Anything else
Quick,
about that trailer?
nothing about that trailer. I always like to let you know when I saw a movie though. So, quick side note before we get into Ironheart. Saw the
Uh-huh.
ballerina.
Oh, okay. I
Yep.
thought we talked. Oh no, we talked about it in part of our preview. That's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So saw the ballerina. It's a John Wick movie. It is the plot is fun, but not very deep.
Yeah.
My only beef with it, honestly,
Hmm.
is they could have let the character stand on her own. There's too much
Mm.
John Wick. Too much
Okay.
John Wick. Like they didn't
And
need some of the stuff they did with John Wick.
okay, so are you saying that she was her character was strong enough to stand on her own?
I think so. I
Okay.
really think so. I just don't think
Yeah.
the studio thought she would.
Yeah.
But I actually absolutely think she was strong enough to stand on her own, and the premise was set up so well, and it was either John Wick 2 or 3, but whichever one it was set up so well that him just having a cameo would have been great. You
Hmm.
know,
Okay.
that would have been enough. But yeah. So,
All right.
Ballerina, I suggest it. Go see it. Boom.
Cool.
Or wait for
Uh,
it's probably not gonna be in theaters too much longer, so watch it.
yeah.
Watch it on digital.
Yeah. Right. Let me do the same thing. We saw
Okay.
Elio.
Ooh, all
Um,
right.
and Elio is great. We thoroughly enjoyed it. I've heard and read that it actually didn't do that well in its opening weekend, which is kind of sad because I think it's a
I
really
forgot it
strong
even
movie.
came out.
Yeah, and it was well reviewed, but it just didn't do well, in the box office, at least in the opening weekend. And I've read some theories that it's because, right now with this economy, people only want to see, properties that they already know. They don't want to see
Yeah.
original stuff, which Sinners disproved, right? But that's
Sinners
its
did
own
disprove
thing.
that. But you could
Um,
also say it's a director that's pretty popular and a
yeah.
actor that's pretty popular, but
Yeah, but I mean,
still,
this is Pixar we're talking about with
we are
Elio.
true. That is true. That's true.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
all right.
But again, it's unfortunate because it's a really good movie and we had a good time. Yeah.
Like, how do you rank it if I'm thinking of other Pixar movies? I know
That's tough.
the epitome is supposed to be still be Toy Story, right?
Yeah, I guess so. But I've heard Coco called,
Oh,
put
Coco
it
is
put
so
up in the
great.
top. Yeah.
Coco is so
Yeah.
great. What's
Um,
the name? Is Encanto is
that's
no,
just Disney.
that's
That's not
Disney. That's
Pixar.
not Pixar.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I like Encanto. No. Cause
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
talk about Bruno. No, no, no.
You don't.
No.
None of us do. Um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's one of the top ones, I would say. One of
Okay.
the top Pixar films, in my opinion. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
yeah. If you
Elio.
if you if you cut that long list in half, it's definitely in that top half. Yeah,
Okay. I dig that. When the girls
yeah,
come, I'll see if they haven't seen it yet. Go see that.
yeah.
All
Cool.
right.
All
So
right. Ironheart.
we have been on a journey since Wakanda Forever
Yes.
for Riri Williams to re-enter
Mm-hmm.
the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
Now, comic history, Riri was essentially a fan of the Tony Stark and of the Tony
Yep.
Stark and genius who built her own iron suit and started fighting crime as Iron Heart instead of Iron Woman or Iron Man or any of that.
Yep.
She was introduced in Wakanda Forever.
Mm-hmm.
They did the thing, the marketing thing I hate, where recently when they started marketing it, they were like, from executive producer Ryan Coogler, who
Mm-hmm.
just by the way has the top movie in theaters right now. So let's put his name everywhere we can.
Right.
But yeah, so Ironheart, and also it we have to make sure we put the context in there that this is one of those shows that's been on the shelf for a couple years.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
they worked on it in the era when they were like trying to crank out all the
Hmm.
shows back to back, back to back, back to back. It's one of the
Yep.
ones that survived because a lot of
Yeah,
them
they
got canceled.
kept it. Yeah.
Yeah. So so yeah, Ironheart, first three episodes. What you think?
Hmm. Wait, I think I started off with thoughts on the
Oh, I don't like that.
Fantastic Four trailer. So you
I
can
don't
start
like
off with
that.
this.
Oh. Um, all right. So Ironheart. I will say that it doesn't feel to me like this show came in that era of when they
Hmm.
were cranking out shows. Because those shows, some of those shows felt very rushed.
Hmm.
Um, like I liked Miss Marvel a lot, but that one
Me
stood
too.
out to me
Yep.
as like, oh, they took their time with this one.
Yep.
Um, this one feels like they are trying very, very hard to really flesh out a complex character in Riri Williams.
Hmm.
Some of the stuff in the show is cliche. Some of it
Hmm.
is very cliche.
Yep.
Um, I think so. My man from Hamilton fame and from In the
Hmm.
Heights,
Yep.
Anthony
Anthony
Ramos
Ramos. Yep.
is the Hood.
Yep.
The Hood is in the comics a magic-based character who is tied to Mephisto. So maybe,
Hmm.
maybe we'll get Mephisto finally in the MCU.
They
Maybe.
seem to be hinting at it. Yeah.
Yep. Um, So I think I like him as an actor.
Yeah.
I like a lot of the characters. The best friend slash AI, spoilers for Ironheart, sorry.
Yeah.
Um, the best friend slash AI is an actor that was on This Is Us as the
Hmm.
adopted daughter, and I love her as an actor.
Yep.
Um, so overall, I will say I am still intrigued. I'm still
Yeah.
in it. I am wondering how her character arc will go because they, especially in the third episode, they did something I was like, oh, okay. She was teetering the line of
Yep.
maybe I'm just trying to do stuff for money and be a little bit bad, but I'm still ultimately good. But I mean, again, spoilers, she left somebody to die. And I was
She
like,
did.
oh, okay,
Yep.
well, all right, maybe that's where we at. So
Yeah.
that part of it has me very, very intrigued.
Hmm.
Um, I like that it's very street level. It's
Hmm.
not, she's not trying to save the world or anything like that. She really just trying
Yeah.
to get her tech, you know.
Yep.
I'm glad that in the third episode they went a little beyond the her just saying I'm doing it because I can, and they were saying like basically
Um,
she's doing it because, or she started building the suit because her stepfather was a fan,
yep.
and his line was I do it because I can,
Yeah.
and so a lot of that has a good lot of good emotion behind it. Is it
Hmm.
great? No, but am I
Hmm.
interested? Yes, yes. So that's my take. I know I don't
Yep.
usually. I'm usually the one that's not going to be too hard on something as long as it's
Hmm.
got some nuggets of good. And I think it's got some nuggets of good. So,
Yep. Yeah, I think we're in the same boat. It's not great, but yeah, like at the end of the third episode, I was like, okay, I want to see this through. Like
yep.
I'm curious, I'm intrigued. Um, there's some bad writing, I must say.
I
Um,
I I got an opinion on that, but keep going.
okay, yeah. I mean, like we can start with just the fundamental premise of the series. Like I'm not bought into it. Here's why. Okay, so at the beginning of the series, they drop us in at MIT, right? And we have this voiceover and montage. Riri is telling us how after helping to save Wakanda, and thusly saving the world, she is now back at MIT doing shady shit to get funding for her iron suit. But she's at MIT. She's a Tony Stark fellow. And
So she had the
apparently
grant.
she has a grant, And apparently she has a suit that can make it from Boston to Chicago on a whim. What's the resource issue that she really has? And so, and this is part of the issue of the series for me is like this, that was clearly a show don't tell type of thing that they should have done, right? Like don't tell me about these problems you have when I see you at MIT, with a Tony Stark fellowship and a suit, and we know that you have friends in Wakanda. Like what is your real resource issue?
I
And and
feel, go ahead.
and like the whole series is really built on this problem, right? Built on
Yeah.
this idea that she needs funding for her tech. But she basically like, you know, blew up her relationship with MIT, uh, in pursuit of this funding for her tech. Like, something doesn't make sense there.
And for me, again, this is a what would James do moment. It feels like that's an easy fix.
Okay.
That she, so first, when I was watching it with my partner, and she was like, really? Wakanda ain't helping her? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Wakanda ain't helping her right now? Um, and so I think an easy fix was if, you know, they didn't introduce the fact that she was hustling for stuff until
Hmm.
after she got kicked out of MIT.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So that's all they really had to do in that. Even if we
Yeah.
don't explain why Wakanda isn't helping, which they could also explain in there that she's been doing this on this grant, this stuff and this stuff, and she's too prideful even. Like, after
Hmm.
she gets kicked out, she doesn't want to call the Wakandans. Like have her best friend, her man, I don't know who he is. I don't know if he's gonna be her man, this
Right.
character,
Right.
be like,
Right.
don't you have connections in Africa? And her being like, nah, I got to do this on my own.
Sure.
Something
Yeah.
to just show us that she was good and based on her own choices, she got kicked out of MIT and now she's got to hustle. And then that's
Hmm.
when the hood
Yeah.
recruits her.
Yeah.
Um, it just seems like such an easy fix in the writing. Like, I don't know if that's the way it was. And somebody was like, no, no, we need more tension in the beginning. We need her to be struggling in the
Yeah.
beginning. Because that sounds
Yeah.
like a producer note or studio note of like,
Yeah.
make her struggle. She black.
Yeah. Here's another potential easy fix. This is what would Don do. But
Hmm.
don't let her have a suit in the beginning. Don't fly from Boston to Chicago the moment you get kicked out of MIT. Like if your whole thing is like, I need to build my suit, but you have a suit that can fly from Boston to Chicago, you've lost me. Right?
I I feel like that is a result of a 6 episode series. Like they had to get her in a suit as soon as possible.
I guess.
But that doesn't make it right. That definitely doesn't make it right.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I feel you there. They again, the hustle could have been of her, like if even if she had a suit there,
Hmm.
when she
It should
jumped
be
in the suit,
functional.
yeah, like when she
Yeah.
jumped in the suit, make it so she tried to fly to Chicago, but what happened in Chicago happens before she even leaves campus, right? Where it was like, your student ID has been revoked. So
Right, right.
now there is a suit over there in MIT, and
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
she could come back to it later, like I'm gonna steal these parts of this suit I
Yep.
already built,
Yeah.
but her own Tony Stark version of the like she has to actually scrape together pieces
Yeah.
from the old garages or when she meet Junior Stain to
Hmm.
get those
Hmm.
pieces and she's actually building a suit from scratch
Yes.
because the heist didn't have to be happening tomorrow. It could have been weeks until the heist,
Right. Yes.
so yeah, there's definitely some writing where they're rushing stuff through for some reason. And
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it's because the Mephisto of it all. If are they
Maybe.
trying to make that take up some more time?
So yeah, another writing point. We know from Wakanda Forever, and this show tells us that Riri is a genius, right?
She's a
And we know
genius.
she's a genius, right? But man, does she make some bad decisions throughout this show. And even stuff that like you would expect her to make good decisions about given her area of expertise, right? Like
Like what? Yeah.
her AI, right? And we should have a whole, we probably will have a whole conversation about Natalie, AI Natalie. But
Yeah.
like Riri has made this AI that she can't control and that almost gets her shot, right? And then for some reason, like Riri is confused when the Natalie AI acts like Natalie, right? So all of that is just really weird and confusing, given that Riri is a genius and that
Yeah.
sort of thing.
And I
Um,
thought it was a little kind of hand wavy of
yeah,
how the AI came about. Because
yes, absolutely.
I realized she had some trauma over
Yep,
Natalie that
yep.
got brought to the surface while she was connected to the machine, building the AI off of her thoughts,
Brain scan. Yep,
scans. Yep. And so
yep.
since that was top of mind, Natalie comes out, but Natalie
Yeah,
knows even things that Riri doesn't know. So it's a little hand
yeah.
wavy. It's a little
It
hand
is.
wavy.
It is.
Um,
And this show, uh, I think to its detriment, makes these comparisons to Tony Stark.
yeah.
And Tony's not going to make an AI that like he can't control, right?
Yeah. Now,
And I only bring this up because the show brings it up, and Riri talks about being as great as Tony and as great
mhm.
as Jobs and Gates and all of this stuff, right?
Here's my one
Um,
defense of that.
yeah,
Tony, when we met him, was a fully formed adult.
he
And
was.
even he still went through
Yep,
some changes.
absolutely.
She is young.
Yep,
As I say in my job all the time, my full-time job, I have to remember that the frontal lobe does not
it's
fully
still
develop
developing.
until
Yep,
around age 25.
yep, yep, yep.
And acting impulsive and not being able to connect things
Yeah,
are symptoms of that. Now,
absolutely. That's a great
now,
way to put it.
do they say that in the show? Do they show that in the show? No, because they
Right.
do lean into her being a genius.
Yes, they do.
But again, I've been known to do some work for the shows when the shows don't do the work themselves. But that's where I put that is like
That's a great
she's
way to
supposed to
think
be
about it.
young. Yeah.
Yep, yep. Fun fact, because you brought up age. Dominique Thorne,
Hmm.
despite looking like she's like 15, she's like 27.
Oh no, I didn't realize that because she
Yeah,
was paying like 12 on This Is Us.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Maybe a little
Wait,
older, 13, 14.
Dominique was on This Is Us?
Oh, sorry, not Dominique. The
Yeah,
one who plays Natalie, the AI was
right,
on This
right.
Is
No,
Us.
I'm talking
Yep.
about Dominique. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
All right.
But anyway, okay. So yeah, so I have some issues with the writing.
Hmm.
That said, like I said earlier, I'm sold on watching the rest of it. I'm intrigued. I like the actors. I just don't always like what they're saying and doing.
So that's I said I'd come back to that. The a little bit of the writing to me is I don't know if I have a bias
Hmm.
for when someone tries to write hood or write
Hmm.
quote unquote black
Yeah.
because it all sounds forced. It
Yes.
sounds forced when trying to deliver those lines.
Absolutely.
And I've it's been many shows where that's been the case where I was like, I know that's what people say, but I don't
Yeah.
know if it's because that's what people say and I'm so aware of it
Yeah.
that it sounds weird coming out of your mouth now, or
Hmm.
something
Hmm.
about it just doesn't sound 100% natural.
Yep.
And so that's part of the writing to me is I'm like, I don't know if it's actually the writing or is it my personal bias because of this slang, this vernacular that's being used is actually like it just feels forced.
Yeah, man. I was counting how many times they said sus. I was just
Hmm.
like, oh, don't say it again.
Yep.
And I noted things like when Natalie said houseway. I was
Hmm.
like, oh, come on.
Yep. And
I mean,
again,
but
things if I had heard in real life, I'd be
yeah,
like, houseway, all right.
yeah,
But something about it was like it was placed at a point in the dialogue to make us hear it and make us
yeah,
recognize it. And
yeah,
it's like maybe that's the thing is they want to make sure you hear the slang versus the slang just being organic. I don't know.
right, right.
So,
Yeah,
yeah, but that's my beef with a lot of movies that try to do quote unquote black talk.
yeah, yeah. And by the way, when I talk about the writing, I'm not just talking about dialogue, but just
Yeah.
also some of the decisions and that sort of thing as well. And like the character development and all of that. I do feel like the characters, with the exception of Riri and Parker, a lot of one-note characters so far,
Oh yeah.
right?
The whole crew
The
is
whole
one
crew.
note.
Yes.
The whole crew
Yeah.
is one note.
Yeah.
The the, so we haven't talked about like the actual plot of the show yet.
That's
Um,
true. Yeah.
so I was surprised to see Eric Andre up in there
Yeah, me
in the
too.
beginning.
Yeah. He
So
didn't
we
last long.
he didn't last long. So we did talk about how it starts off, she's at MIT, she's getting kicked out because she's been caught doing shady stuff.
Yeah.
As Don said, it was to fund the project she was working on that she already had grant money and other resources for. So
Yeah.
there you go. She flies home in that suit that she
Mhm.
took from MIT. That there's a debate online, by the way, of did she steal it or not? Meaning,
Hmm.
if it was her grant money that she got from Tony Stark, but
Oh,
also those people I don't think know how the world works because it's the intellectual property of the university if
yeah.
they're working
Right.
on it there.
Yeah.
So she took that, flew
Hmm.
back to Chicago. You find out that she has some trauma that she hasn't gotten over, which is her stepfather, who she was very close to, and her best friend got killed in a drive-by.
By the way, again, the black of it all, like, why did it
Yeah.
have to be a drive-by?
Yeah. I agree. I
But
agree.
okay. And by the way, I think the creative team is black. You know,
Yep.
so it is what it is. But
And sometimes when you got the people in the room, it's like, let's make it as black as we can.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, they you find that out. In order to make some money, she gets recruited by the Hood and his crew, which
Mhm.
included Eric Andre, who's keeps wanting to be called
Rampage.
Rampage. Um,
His name is Stewart,
yep.
right? But he wants to be called Rampage, and
Stu.
no one wants to call him that.
Yeah. You got a hacker from I always forget how to say his name. Madripoor.
Madripoor, yeah.
Yep.
Famous Marvel location.
Famous Marvel location. We saw it live action for the first time in Falcon and Winter Soldier. That's where
Hmm.
they went and found the broker.
Yep.
And then you got the brother and sister team who
Mhm.
seems to be just the muscle.
By the way, another hilarious dialogue moment. Do you remember how they were introduced by Parker?
I don't.
He was like, all right, we got the blood siblings. These are two athletes that were banned from every league because of their unsportsmanlike conduct.
Every league, every single league.
You name it, NFL,
Yes.
WNBA, NBA, banned from all of them.
Man, yep, I do remember that now. You got the explosions expert,
Yeah, yeah. I do not like her character. Clown is her name.
clown, yep.
She
And
is
then
annoying.
you got Knives Malone, Knives
Yeah,
McGee.
yeah, yeah.
Who's
John,
the yeah, he's the closest
cousin.
to the Hood, the cousin, and
Yeah.
yeah. In order to, when she gets recruited, she's replacing Rampage,
Yeah.
and they need her suit though. They want her to come in the suit. The suit isn't working, so she needs upgrades, and so she meets what's his name? I forget his real. I mean, I know his real name. I forget what he was saying his name was.
Joe
Joe something.
McGillicuddy.
Joe McGillicuddy, who
Yeah.
has a lot of black market parts and tech.
Yeah.
So she meets him, and throughout the course of the three episodes, you find out that he is Ezekiel Stane, son of Obadiah Stane, the
Hmm.
Ironmonger, the first. I mean, some could say the first big Marvel villain,
Yep.
because he was the villain in the first Iron Man movie.
Indeed he was.
And so, yeah, her and the crew do heists
Yeah.
on big tech companies or big major companies,
Hmm.
which I did say threw me for a loop. I thought they were going for money. They're getting them to sign contracts to put them on the payroll so that they can
I
just
mean, they're going
continue to
for
get
money.
money. So they're
Yeah,
going
yeah,
for money. I just didn't
yeah,
think they were going that way for money.
yeah.
By the time they do their second heist with Riri, things go awry because that tech guy or that greenhouse, whatever he was ready
Hmm.
for him.
Hmm.
And through a series of unfortunate events, Riri was trying to get the hood's hood and
A piece of it.
piece
Yeah.
of the hood, and
Yeah.
ended up setting off the sensors, and the crew ended up getting trapped. The heist went wrong. The tech billionaire said, "Nah, nah, I ain't signing this." He tried to just
Hmm.
pay him off, but that didn't work. So then we see the hood unleash his rampage and start
Yeah.
just killing folks left and right, including the tech
Yeah.
billionaire and our
Yep.
friend Riri Williams, who was a little morally gray because she was willing to join this crime syndicate in order to make money to make her tech. She was a little
Yep.
morally gray, but we start to get glimpses of maybe she's a good guy because she's like, oh man, the hood is doing, because we find out Rampage got killed. She thinks
Yes.
that they did it, the team
Yep.
did it. And so
Yep.
now she wants to investigate him. And so you're thinking like, oh, she's gonna turn on him now. But when Knives McGee finds
Mhm.
out that she was trying to take the hood. He found out she had a piece of the hood, so he tried to murk her,
Hmm.
and her suit came to save her, and she left him to suffocate and die.
Correct.
And yeah, and then that's when we think it may be Mephisto. Some entity is talking to the hood,
Yep.
showing him what happened to his cuz.
Yep.
So that was a speed run through the
Nice
first three
summary.
episodes.
Yep.
So yeah, okay, now we're there. We know it.
Cool. Um,
Rampage.
yeah. Yeah. I don't have much to say about Rampage.
Nobody should.
Uh, but I do have stuff to say about AI Natalie. Um, yeah. What do you think about AI Natalie?
Nope. You said you got stuff to say. You go.
Uh, so I like it and I like the idea, the concept in theory. In practice, like I said, she can't be controlled. She argues with Riri. The way that the way that they show her is kind of like weird and whack,
Mhm.
right? You know, like the fact that when she gets put on the laptop, she has a little window with her face, like you and I talking on Zoom. Like it's just kind of
The
weird.
special effects are not great in the show
They're
in
not great.
general.
Well, for that in particular, you don't even need special effects, right? You could just have a voice, right? Or
Yeah.
you could have just the little sound wave of her talking, right?
Mhm.
But no, they show her in a little window that, yeah, looks like it's from AOL or something, and she's just talking.
So here's,
Um,
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. I want to see.
yeah, and I like what they're trying to do, right? Like this AI is based on Riri's best friend. It would have been more interesting, I think, if Riri, like, if they had something to say about trying to like memorialize someone that you've lost, and Riri is trying to create an AI just because she misses her friend, I think that would have been really interesting. But she
Hmm.
kind of just creates it by accident, and it's not always the most helpful
Yeah.
assistant.
And so I would say if we lean into what they already had there, right? That she
Hmm.
created it by accident. I wish we'd have leaned into her genius a little more. Like, oh, I created this by accident. She's like, I can't deal with this. And she actually goes in and reprograms it so that it does what she wants it to do. And
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
obedient, all that. And then I think it would
Yeah.
have been a good character arc. And at some point, she's going through something and she's just like, I want to talk to my best friend again. And she
Yep.
switches it back. And then
Yep.
that's when they become like they learn how to work together in that mode because she sees that having her friend there brings something else out of her, keeps her moral compass. The fact that she can't be controlled is actually helpful to her versus
Yeah.
her
Yeah.
control, like
I like
learning
that.
something about it. That would have been a little bit more impactful for me. Again, I feel like we are seeing the results of we got 6 episodes to do this, so we're gonna
Yeah.
speed through. Speeding through.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, here you doing it to me again. I like the show, man.
I like from a vibes perspective, I like the show, but when I
Yeah,
like give it much thought, any thought, I'm just kind of like, oh, it breaks down fast.
it breaks down fast.
Yeah.
It breaks down fast. Like the crew, their whole like I honestly thought in episode 3, I was like, oh, okay, they're all
They're
gonna
gonna kill
die.
off the crew. Yep,
They're
I thought
gonna
that
all
too.
gonna die. And that
Yep.
that would have been a more interesting thing to me because I'm like,
Yep.
y'all are great again, one note. Like if we were the opening scene, we're seeing who the crew is, and then later they die. Yep, that's who you are.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you're gonna spend this much time with them, I need to know a little bit more about them.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Um, all right, what do you think about Zeke? Zeke Stain.
Um, so one, we could be building to him be also being a villain.
Hmm.
Um,
Interesting.
we could be. I
Yeah.
don't think we are. I think
I
that's
don't
the
think we are.
obvious. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think this is that kind of show.
Um, I will say
If
I there
anything,
was
we might be building to a love interest, but I
I don't
think
want that.
I don't want that either, but I think Xavier might be that. And yeah, I just
Yeah,
don't want that.
I
But
don't
they
want that.
have they got some weird, creepy vibe going on between them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah. If they were together, they little combined name would be like Azikiri. No, I don't want none of that. Ririkio. Mm-mm. Don't nobody
Terrible.
want that.
All bad.
Don't
Yeah.
nobody want that.
Nope.
Um, but yeah, I think I will tell you I did not love the scene when she finds Obadiah's ashes. I thought it was just so
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
it was like almost blink and you miss it. Like, wait, what are they talking
Yeah.
about?
Yeah.
Oh, that's Obadiah Stane's. Oh, okay. They're confirming
Hmm.
who he is. Like I suspected who he was already,
Hmm.
but I was like, yeah, that didn't do well for me. And I don't know. Maybe for some people, the personality is bubbling under the surface, and all you need is somebody to tell you to let it out. But the fact that she
Yeah.
basically blackmailed him, and he was like, "Oh man, you strong, I'm gonna be like you." Then he goes
Yeah.
start cutting some flowers, and then he
Yeah.
comes and tries to blackmail her. Like
Yeah.
it was again rushed. I just feel it was
Yep.
rushed. I feel like
Yep.
they could have built him to that point over a few episodes where she does a few things where she kind of pushes him, and then when he needs something from her is when he finally pushes back, and she was like, "All
Yeah.
right, respect. I'll help you out." Um,
Yeah.
like I think that would have been a little bit better, but again, not to for everything to fall on the runtime, but I think they are really, really suffering from this 6 episode thing.
Hmm. Hmm. Do you think over the course of the next 3 episodes, this connection to Obadiah will mean anything?
I think, unfortunately, I think we've gotten the meaning of it is this is another connection to,
MCU.
yep.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
another connection to Tony Stark. to say,
Yep.
"Hey, Ironheart, Tony Stark, that
Yep.
was Tony Stark's villain." And
Yeah.
I think that's the extent of the connection.
Yeah. They could have done without that if that's the case.
Yeah.
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 By the way, kind of a side note, but did you see the video with Dominique and RDJ where they're again trying to build that connection. There was like a FaceTime between them,
Oh
like
yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Where he
where
said he was
RD.
excited to
Yep.
for the
Yep.
legacy, all that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It feels forced.
Hmm. Yep.
But anyway, the action, the tunnel, the company tunnel when they did the takeover, I
Yeah.
enjoyed that. I thought that action was pretty decent.
I Yeah, I think the action decent. Even the fight scene, I laugh at them, but the brother sister
The
combo
twins,
of yeah,
yeah, yeah,
they're. I mean, it's good action.
yeah,
I just laugh because I'm just like, what are y'all doing?
yeah.
Who are y'all
And
again?
and and the suit CGI is decent. It
Decent.
works.
Yep, it's
Yeah,
decent, and it's not
yeah,
supposed to be as streamlined as Tony Stark's, which I
right.
think it shouldn't be.
Yep,
Even the one in Wakanda Forever was clunky. But
yep,
yeah, that's where she's supposed to be at this point. And I think
yep.
that's where we should be talking about her genius in the show is where she
Hmm.
actually is like you are a genius for where you are. Um, you know, but we're not at the point yet where you've reached that threshold or turned that point. Like the cave was Tony's turning point, right?
Yeah,
Where
right.
he started thinking about it a different way. So I think she needs that character arc to kind of go over until she actually builds the suit that's for her.
Yeah,
So
yep.
yeah,
I can't remember. Was Dominique's name on one of the chairs in the Doomsday reveal? I think it was, but I don't remember.
I don't
Is
think it
she in Doom?
was.
Is she in Doomsday?
Ooh,
To the internet.
because I do not remember her name being on there.
Okay, it's not confirmed yet.
Okay.
Apparently, in interviews, she has teased that she is in Doomsday, but it's not
Hmm.
confirmed. At least that's what the AI is telling me right now.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah,
So overall, I'm intrigued. I'm gonna
yeah.
keep watching, which it's
Hmm.
only one more week, right? So,
Right. Yep.
um, so I watched the next three episodes, and I'm curious to where like the biggest thing for me is I'm curious to see how they really round out this character arc for her. Are we going to end the show with her being ambiguous? Are we going to end the show with her being the hero, which
Yeah.
may feel rushed from where she is right now?
Yeah. Definitely.
So
Yep.
even if she becomes a hero, I want her to be a little more, again, ambiguous with it, or just she's still struggling with some stuff. Like if she just gets past letting this person die, or if they do the whole like, oh, he didn't actually die, so now she's absolved of everything. Like I need him to be actually dead. I need him to be
Yeah.
dead
I think he
and
might be
her to
dead,
deal with.
dead.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Yep. I mean, he was locked in that room. I don't know how he would have escaped that.
anytime we dealing with magic, man,
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
Mephisto might inhabit his body and now he back.
Ah, maybe. Yeah.
So
Yeah. There's a lot to wrap up. So we'll see if they can pull it off in 3 episodes.
yep.
Yeah.
So I suggest people watch it though if they like MCU, if they like Wakanda Forever and like that character, definitely. Um, yeah, I think it's worth a watch. It's not. Don't expect stellar writing. Don't expect
Right.
that it's the top of MCU stuff, but it's decent.
Yep.
And overall, I'm enjoying it. But I want to hear about some secret invasions now.
So for the audience, I told James right before we started that I had a rant that I wanted to end the episode on, and it's related to Secret Invasion. Okay, so here's the setup. My son and we watched Avengers Infinity War a few months ago. He hasn't seen all the MCU movies leading up to that, but he's seen enough bits and pieces, right, where he knows who's who and like that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
He's seen has he seen all of he's seen all of Black Panther, I think. He's seen some of the movies, but he hasn't seen everything. But anyway, I was like, yeah, you know what? Let's watch Infinity War. You know about Thanos, and this is like everything coming together. Let's watch it. So we watched it. He enjoyed it. Fast forward to yesterday, he had not seen Endgame yet. And so I was here in the office doing stuff, and he was in the family room with my wife watching Endgame because it was just like on TV, like on TNT or whatever. And they were kind of half watching it, but he was paying attention. So I came into the family room, and I was like, okay, okay, hold on. If you're gonna watch this, like, let's do it for real.
Yeah.
So I turned on Disney Plus, and we watched it the right way. So he enjoyed it, and now he finally knows what happens with Thanos and everything.
Hmm.
But one
Hmm.
thing stuck out to me that really bugged me as I watched Endgame this like 10th time or whatever, and that is the tragedy
Of
of what
James
Se
Rhodes.
of what Secret Invasion did to one Colonel James Rhodes.
Yeah.
Because man, in Endgame, and I think in Infinity War too, Don Cheadle is killing it as James Rhodes. Like he's hilarious. He has all these amazing lines. There's the one where he lands, right by Ant-Man, and he's like, "What's up, regular size man?"
Yep.
There's a thing where he's joking about going back in time and strangling baby Thanos. There's the great, and this wasn't, there was some humor here, but this also was just like a good scene. But like his scenes with Nebula when they were on Morag,
Yep.
when they're trying to get the Power Stone. Um,
Where he says,
Awesome.
so he's an idiot.
Right. That was the humorous part.
Yeah.
But then there's also when Nebula sticks her hand through the laser thing, like it's whatever, and she's like, "I wasn't always like this," and Rhodes is like, "Yeah, you know what? We do what we can. I wasn't always like this either." Like a lot of great stuff with Rhodey.
And that was a scroll,
All for us to
potentially.
find out that he was a Skrull that
Yeah.
entire time for both of those movies. I hate that they did that. I really do. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I wish I had more to say to that, but yeah.
Such a terrible decision. Yeah.
I really do want them to do one of those in-universe retcons where
Yes.
it somehow becomes clear that, oh no, 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 that just happened right before the show. He's been
Yeah.
roadie. He was roadie
Yeah.
for the whole time until
Yeah.
right before. Because I do like, I will say, I like that they picked a character that's that important to us to be a scroll.
Yeah.
I just don't want them to retcon everything he's ever done and say, "Oh, that's been Squirrel Rhodey the whole time."
Yep. Yep. Since
That's
what? Civil War, right?
yeah,
Like that's the whole thing. Is like when he got injured in Civil War, that's when he got replaced by the Scroll.
yep.
That's so terrible. It's crazy.
And give that squirrel an Oscar, because that squirrel had him down. He knew exactly
Yes.
what to say and
Yes.
do,
Yep. I mean
even
that
down
was
to Tony Stank.
right. Yeah, like the Endgame and Infinity War is when you really see Rhodey just having a good time.
Yep.
Like,
Even
and
just
so
the
it,
Infinity War in the battle, just seeing
yeah.
like you've seen War Machine do like even in Ultron, Age of Ultron,
Hmm. Hmm.
and Nick Fury says it like, "Oh, I brought a secret weapon too," and Rhodey comes out and starts wrecking shop.
Yeah.
Still nothing like Infinity War when he's like, "Let me show y'all how the War Machine does it." And he
Yeah.
just wrecks shop. Like, and is
Yeah.
even though he get knocked out of the sky by a giant hammer, that's fine. Before that, he took out thousands,
Yeah.
thousands of these dudes, these
Yeah.
whatever they was,
Creatures. Yeah.
creatures, nameless, faceless creatures, so that we can kill them.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, man, such a tragedy. He was so fun in Endgame.
Yeah.
What was the other? Just little lines like Oh, when Captain Marvel first shows up, right? And she's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna go kill Thanos." And he's like, "Hold on, hold on. We're all about that
We all about
superhero
that
life."
superhero life. Yes.
Then I think he calls her New Girl. He's like, "New Girl, we're all about that superhero life."
So that may be the difference between it being organic and them trying to put
Ah,
lines in
yeah.
there. Like just put those lines that they know are the popular slang. Like at times maybe you just need to let the actor riff
Yeah.
and say like we're trying to get at you saying this. How would you say it?
Yeah. You
Because
think Cheeto came up with those lines?
I think so. I
Yeah.
think the Russo brothers didn't.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's the difference because they definitely with all the slang in Ironheart, it just feels like written. It feels like somebody
Hmm.
wrote that for you to say it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that maybe see, we brought it home. We connected
Yeah,
the
we
two.
did.
We
Look at
connected the
that.
two.
Are we done? I think we're done. We can
I think
retire on that one.
yeah, we done. That's it. Hang your
That's my
hats up.
rant. Yeah, that's
Nah,
my
it's
rant.
it's a legitimate rant, and I know you're not the only one who feels that way.
Right.
It's just it's a lot of loose ends that maybe that's part of it too. I think the MCU has done us dirty enough times that just making a good movie is not enough. We need them to
Yeah.
dig out of the hole too.
Yeah.
Like we need to correct some of the stuff that happened.
Yep.
And
Yep.
Rhodey is one of those things. Rhodey, top of the list. Nah, damn it. Rhodey,
Yeah.
justice for
Definitely.
Rhodey. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. That
man,
show made a that show made a lot of dumb decisions. Like putting Nick Fury with a scroll, married to a scroll. Like, really?
I was
Like that
surprised by it, and I think
yeah.
again, I'm always a fan of like if the writing is right, they can make it work.
Sure.
They
They
didn't
didn't
make
make
it
it work.
work. Yeah,
No.
yeah.
Anyway.
I think it was just the shock value, right? Like, oh, he married to a scroll.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
but
Yep.
yeah. Even if they had all throughout, she had been the supportive wife, all that stuff, and then in the last couple scenes, you find out she was a
Mm-hmm.
scroll.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been something different right there.
Yeah. Yep. Instead, they
But
tried to do the Mr. and Mrs. Smith thing.
yep,
Trash. All right.
I'll never forgive the super scroll, but that's all right.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
And that little arm, I'm tired of that little muscular arm every
I
time,
knew I
man.
knew you were going to bring up the arm.
Man, that arm make me mad. I was like, I hate that. Now,
All right.
all right, I think we did it.
We did it. Like and subscribe, comment at Super Brothers on all platforms.
All the socials.
We are now on YouTube, and our last episode is up as a video. So if you prefer to watch instead of listen, you really want to look at our faces, you can do that now.
Look at you. We listening to the masses.
That's right.
However many of those
All
masses are.
both of them.
Exactly. That remind me of the joke in Family Guy. It's a terrible joke because it was about the WNBA. And they were
Oh,
like, is all this worth it? That's for the fan to decide.
terrible.
Terrible.
WNBA is killing it now.
Yes. So, yeah, I can bring that joke up now because it is irrelevant.
That's
They
right.
are killing it. So,
Yes, sir.
all right.
Super Brothers out.
Super Brothers out. Peace.